Start your journey to unlock your subconscious from the trauma, the shame, the guilt, regret, and rejection. Now is your time. Let your healing begin. For more information, please call 202-480-9067. Thank you.
What's going on, family? What's going on? Check it out. As you see, I'm solo. My co-host C. Morgan had a prior engagement that she had to fulfill, because we do fulfill our engagement that we commit to. So what we're going to do, Harrison, and I see now my mic is acting up. Everything is acting up. But it's all good. We're going to keep going. I'm King Harrison, the authentic coach. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to the Father and pray.
Hey everybody, I'm C, the chiropractor Morgan, your alignment coach.
And I am King Harrison, the authentic coach. See, what we're gonna do? Let's do this. See, let's talk about what we have so far covered in the relationship month, and let's really address the things like the seed, the chicken head part, or well, not chicken head, but the side pieces and the not quitting, not cheating on the one you want to be with. So let's kind of address that, because we have talked about a lot of heavy stuff this past three weeks, and a lot of it was probably hard to hear and hard to receive. But we have to be honest about certain things that are happening in our relationships, and we're gonna, like, let's just recap. Matter of fact, let's go over the seed. Like, that's important. You making sure your life is a seed. That is important, as you realize that. First
And
of
it
all,
replicates
yeah,
also.
yeah.
You plant more than one seed. You build your
You do.
garden any way. You take care of it how you want. And that's what you don't do it by yourself. Because when
Mm-hmm.
they call something a garden, it's just not one item.
It's
It's
not.
more than one thing. And that's how you build yourself, build
Mm-hmm.
your community and your inner circle. What you do. Sometimes when we prune that garden, we have to take out the weeds. We have
Yeah.
to prune ourselves. We have to say, hey, this is not a good habit, what we're doing. This is not something that I want. I'm disappointed in this behavior. I have to develop it more. So
Yeah.
what we have to do is take that and take piece by piece, because sometimes we're not going to be able just to do it in one whole uprooting of everything, because sometimes that dishevels us too much and it becomes too overwhelming
Correct.
at times. So we got to take piece by piece, petal by petal, how far we got to dig those roots up. And those roots, a lot of times, are connected with trauma, like we've been talking about. We have a lot of trauma responses. So, how we want to actually nourish it and how we want to cultivate it and grow is what we're taking those. We talk about those external factors. We need water, we need sunlight, we
We
need
do.
fertilizer. that comes from the body, that comes from all your realms, the body, mind, spirit realms. We all need all of those to be
Mhm.
healthy in that aspect of what we're doing with that current seed.
Yeah, and then also even when growth, even if you're doing great growth, you still have to prune that because you have to prune yourself to get more growth. And a lot of times people don't understand it. Even when you're successful, you still have to prune. You still have to cut back because some things that probably was working in a season is not going to work for the next season. So you have to take a conscious effort and see where you need to improve in yourself and then in the surrounding things that are surrounding you, and where you need to cut back or cut off so that you can
Yeah, that too.
further, you're right, so that you can further go and stronger in your purpose. Then we talked about uh why cheat with the one you don't want to keep. Now, we probably hit a lot of nerves on that one. I'm pretty sure we hit a lot of nerves, but however, we want you to understand the value of what you have, because the grass is not truly greener on the other side. It's really not. It's the same grass you got already. You just got to nurse it where you at and going with the seed. It's almost the same thing, but
Yeah, because we talked about when we it's a great point and when how you said season,
right,
because a season doesn't last long. It can last a
no,
couple months. It might be at last a year. Sometimes you are in control of it, and
hmm,
sometimes you are not. But that season is meant to take something from it to grow, like you said. As you come in, just like we saw with spring, April showers bring May flowers, that which is commonly said. When
hmm,
you're transforming and you're continually growing, you're going to outgrow positions. You're going to grow out. Sometimes you even outgrow the relationship. It was just there for that moment to
right,
take you to the next level or let you see, hey, this is what you really want. This is what you don't want. If you can't come into terms with that person, that relationship, it could be a friendship, it could be work,
right,
it could be personal. What type of anything relationship that you have, it's some of those are only for a season, just like your resources. Okay, someone that you network with right now, they may just be there to guide you to that door. You need that
right,
extra push. And then you have that warm connection every here and there, but they're not that actual, anchor that you need. Sometimes you're gonna find your anchor in your next season, but you had to have this, as they say, preseason to get you to your actual anchor for your season to actually for you to take off and for you actually to move in
right,
that aspect of that. And then when you're saying the whole cheating, the cheating part, we all experience some type of cheating. We cheat on ourselves, and sometimes you cheated in relationships.
right,
And just basically it's truth. It's truth. Are you being honest with yourself? Are you doing what you want to do? Are you happy? Can you talk about it? I mean, we do that, like I said, with ourselves. We do that
yeah,
with anything we put our goals on. So in that part of what you want to keep it. If you truly want to keep it, you're going to do what you have to do to keep it. Make sure it's
the same,
healthy.
yeah, yeah, you
But it
definitely
can be
do.
messy too. It's not always, as we say, rainbows and roses. It's
Mm-mm.
going to get messy sometimes. That is part of working through that. And we said when we talked about at the next one, we were talking about being a side piece for that.
Yeah.
We said that some people are okay with that because they don't want to put the work into it. But you made a good point too, saying you're putting in the work to be the
More
deceiver.
work. More work,
Right.
Ace.
Right. You got to
Yeah.
remember the lies you told. You
Yeah.
got to remember what you're going to do. You got
Hmm.
all that exerted energy trying to balance two relationships, trying to balance two people emotions. That is a lot more work instead
Yeah.
of working with one person that you want to stay with and grow and take the good, quote unquote, with the bad. And to me, it's not good and bad, actually. It's just improving to a better development, is what you're doing. You're bringing awareness. Let's see if we can fix it. What solutions can we apply? And can we work together to come to a common neutral ground to grow together and unite on a common front?
Yeah.
So, yes, it's work, but it's the
Definitely.
work. Is that person worth the work you want to put in? If you're going somewhere else, obviously that person's not worth the work that you want to put in. A lot of times we see too, after when you're saying being honest with ourselves. And one
Right.
of those topics was, when we were discussing it, some with me, some even those feelings even started to resurface of understanding and talking about it, how that actually feels when you are in the relationship and you are committed 100% to that, and you think the other person is too, until you find out ABC, the other facts that come into play. The truth always comes to light no matter what. Yes,
Always.
it takes time at times, but sometimes be we have to accept the red flags. We have to accept this is not what I like. This is not within my morals or my values or what I actually want. You can't self-sacrifice all the time.
True.
And that just to, for someone else. And we call the people pleasing of that. So those were some topics that many don't want to talk about, but they were actually so true to today. It's still going on today. I mean,
It
whether
is.
you're married or you're in a partnership, long term, short term, those are things you really have to talk about in the beginning or as you're progressing in a relationship. Where are we at? Everyone deserves to know where they stand in the relationship or
Right.
where it's going. If you have two people on two different ends of the spectrum, it's not gonna work because you have one view or perception of what's going on. They have one view, but you can't assume. You do have to have that conversation. A lot of people don't want to have that conversation. Oh, we're doing good right now, or sometimes when questions are brought, like where do you see us in 5 years, and where do you see us in the future? Those are valid questions because
They
that's
are.
gonna say, is this gonna be a long-term relationship? Are we just dating right now? Are we just trying to find out what we really want? That's valid. And that's actually to keep it a mature level. That's adult mature level when you want to grow in a relationship. Just
Right.
like when you're friends. You talk about that when you're friends, what do you expect in a friendship? What type of friend do you expect? Especially when it comes to they hurt your feelings or you didn't appreciate a comment. You bringing that to the forefront. Why is it so much easier to bring that up in a friendship with somebody than when you're in a more deeper connection, a marriage, intimate relationship? Why is that so much harder? And it shouldn't be,
It
because
shouldn't.
the relationship, it should be like you should start your foundation as a friendship, and that should expand more instead of just jumping right in at times. But you have to have that friendship and that open, if you had that open line communication in the beginning, think back to why did it change? What made it change? It could be a break in trust. It could have been something that maybe you weren't always completely honest about. It could be actually, which I was reading in one thing. Actually, it was a movie I was watching was about human behavior, and this couple, it was funny, but it wasn't funny, for us to laugh about comments, that they made, saying, they're pretending to be happy for the kids in front of the kids, that they're all happy, lovey dovey. But minute there were seconds there, the kid left the room. Oh, I hate you. They were making inappropriate comments, kind of like hateful comments they were saying to each other. But come to find out, it was a comment that he made because he was a preacher, and a comment that he made in one of his sermons was talking about basically everything she wasn't as a wife, when he's saying what to look for in having a good wife. And it was everything she was not, is how she viewed herself.
Oh,
And so
wow.
she held on to that and had resentment, but she never discussed that with him until Ashley, which a lot of people go to that I dealt with and coached. They always wait till it's too late. Always wait till that person is leaving, left, or on the way out the door mentally, and they just have to take the physical, or vice versa. She almost lost him. He had a heart attack. She didn't realize how much she loved him until she almost lost him. So
Mm.
why do we have to get to that point? So her perception was he wasn't even talking about her. He really wasn't. He was just talking about the sermon. But she had that self doubt, that self infliction. When we talk about too, signs that you're in a toxic relationship with yourself, which we don't look at a lot of times. We talk a lot about, and you hear a lot about it. Are you in a toxic relationship, meaning someone else? But we have
Right.
to look at us. And one of the things, are you extremely critical of yourself and of others? Some things we talked about. And that's a perfect example with her. He said, you got to be a good cook. She's like looking for validation. Is she a good cook? He said, well, you're not a good cook. You're right. You ain't there. Are you happy all the time? She's looking like, well, no, I guess I'm not happy all the time. So she was taking that, but he was trying to find something, but he was saying, I wasn't talking about you, but she took that to heart. And
Mm.
that's what we do too with guilt and shame. And we hold on to that,
That's
and that we don't even address it. We're holding a grudge. So a good question to relationships are, do you hold a grudge? How long do you usually hold the grudges? What breaks that grudge? When do you release it and forgive it? Those are questions that's not commonly asked in relationships. Research that I found too, some questions, and actually questions couples avoid because you don't commonly hear that. But when it comes into you guys to start fighting or you get in an argument, you can't agree, then everything is poured out.
right.
So one of them is, how critical are yourself for others? Are you trapped in these feelings? Are you trapped and not letting yourself out, punishing yourself when you should let it go, because we all are growing in that seed. We have that growth. We have to give ourselves that grace, like we said, to move forward. And then a good example is doing what we talked about. The overall part is a part of you justifying them other healthy habits. So are you making excuses for doing that? I only did this because you did that. Okay, now we're doing tit for tat.
Yeah, that ain't good.
Is that healthy? If we were talking to your child or somebody that you mentor, and you were talking to your younger self, giving yourself advice, that's tit for tat. And to how I see things too, yeah, sometimes we talked about wanting to get even, because if we're mistreated, but we have to say too, what do we allow? We don't have control of everything, but the things that we can control and what we do allow is that one big thing. I look at self-sabotage. I went through this process in one of my relationships too. It's self-sabotage. After I started getting depressed, my self-esteem did drop. And I got to the point of, maybe what did I do? What did I sow to reap what is coming right now? It was point, maybe I don't deserve to be happy. Maybe I don't deserve to be healthy right now. Those are some thoughts that did go through. So I was having that toxicity with myself because I lost my own self-esteem over what was happening, especially listening to, I was very, very critical on myself, but I had an outside force, when talking about how I looked physically. Those when the names start, name calling started coming that. And I was like, you know what, this is not what I'm going to tolerate. So I could not stay there. And a lot of times, many of us, especially I would say, I'm gonna speak from a female, since we are natural nurturers and givers and caretakers, we absorb that a lot. We say, oh, they're just mad right now, or if they weren't hurting right now, they wouldn't say this to me. No, they shouldn't say it to you, because a lot of times you're being tested. You're being tested to see how much can I get away with, or how much is that person gonna tolerate for that? How much can I push their button? And a lot of times too, what I've came across and looking at research and statistics and reading the different books, when it comes to codependency, which is something else on the topic we can talk about later, some of that comes from, are you afraid of being alone? Why are you justifying that behavior is okay? Right. What in you is allowing that to continue to happen? Because like I said, they're testing you to see how far, and a lot of times you will be treated like a piece of crap under your foot, under your shoe, just to see, to push you away, but you still won't leave. Instead of them, him or her, being a woman or being a man and just in the relationship, they will continue to treat you like you're a worthless piece of crap. And that's not healthy. And you should not accept that either. So that comes from you feeling you should be treated like that from whatever may happen, or maybe a trauma, that trauma has not been healed and you have not addressed that trauma. And you have to see, okay, what is clicking right now? Where am I at in my life that I'm allowing self-sabotage? Because you're sabotaging yourself. Yeah. What are you allowing this extreme criticism of yourself? What is allowing this to happen right now? Because we always, like we say, we always can take it and control it. We always can always heal. It's today, because you start today. We can't say, oh, we'll do it at the beginning of the month, which the month is right around the corner. The new month's right around the corner. Oh, we're going to start on Monday when it's a Friday. No, start right now. Take bits and pieces. You can take chunks. Whatever will not overwhelm you is the best way to start attacking these things and getting them out your life, so you can have a healthier relationship with yourself. Correct. And I spoke about the low self-esteem, which is another sign of actually being toxic with yourself. And just imagine, I know we all have felt at one time or another we weren't good enough for something. Right. You can sit and pretend that you never have, and I will never believe you, because we all have gone through that part where maybe we don't feel we're smart enough, maybe we don't feel we're fit enough. It's when we start comparing ourselves to other people. That is a part we have to stop doing, because we are unique and we are individually made. We have our own gifts that we're supposed to fulfill and our own purposes. So when you find yourself constantly comparing yourself to others and wanting to be where they are, Because we talked about that too in this month, what we attract, what we give out, or we attract what we want to have. And we're looking for different partners. So if we like someone who is out there, who is basically an extrovert in that sense, we will attract ourselves to extroverts. That's something that we want to be at times, or a behavior that we wish we could develop more. So we attract it. I mean, in that sense of if they're doing it, we're going to learn how this person does it so we can improve and develop. As long as it don't tear us down, that's the wrong type of what we seek. If we're going to looking for what's called external validation, if we're seeking it out, that is toxic. If you have to seek out somebody's affirmation, somebody's pat in the back, somebody's attaboy, you're doing a good job, that is not healthy.
No.
Because you're using someone else to boost your confidence when that is coming, that should come from within. That should come with internally. You have everything you need. We just have to tap into it and ignite it, what we have to do when it comes from some of that. And I think external validation is so widely used in the society right now because you look at the commercials, you look at TV, you look at what you say you're supposed to look at, especially for women. We have a lot more, in my opinion, there's a lot more how women should look and what the actual true definition of beauty supposedly is. And I think at a young age, you start comparing yourselves. But that first validation comes really from your father, in a sense, which you view for a little girl. Your father is your first male role model usually, or your father figure, your mentor, whatever male that comes into your life at an early age actually imprints on you that we don't always know. So whatever that behavior is what we see. We're sponges at the age, but even as we groom into our teens, our childhood, and we get into an adulthood, what males are coming into your life that maybe you've had some not so great imprints on that you picked up subconsciously, and now you're accepting those behaviors because it made you feel good. That compliment made you feel good. Women a lot of times will wear form-fitting clothes because they want the affirmation of that to say, oh, you look beautiful. When you can look beautiful without form-fitting clothes, you have a beautiful mind. Define your definition of beautiful and beauty. So some of those toxic things, the criticism that you have, the self-sabotaging, and the one big one too, as I said, as us women, and this is men too, but women are naturally caregivers. Most of them are naturally caregivers, I'm going to say, is a self-sacrificing. Are you people pleasing? Are you sacrificing so much of yourself that you're not doing self-care? You love maybe to get a massage. You love going to get your hair done and say the nails done, your feet done, things that actually bring you joy and peace that makes you love yourself more. A new outfit, it's just how it makes you feel and how you actually exude your own inner light. When we're sabotaging that, giving that to other people, we're taking that away. We're giving it away. We're allowing it to actually drain us. And speaking, I know people look at Valentine's Day as, the gifts and things that for me, I took it was a self-love day. It's a self-love day. We need that every day anyways. Just one thing, or even once a week, that self-love to pour into yourself. Right. Just see what you need, because you have to refill your cup. You have to take back. And for me, a lot of times too, when we talk about the development of ourselves, I just took a piece back that I allowed to be taken from me. And to me, that's the first step. And that's what we say to you guys. Just if you can't take the whole piece, take up the whole piece of something, take a small piece, a bite-sized piece of it. You gain it back because we didn't give everything away at one time. We gave pieces of us away. So we have to get those pieces back. And I think doing that way and not self-sacrificing ourselves so much, it's going to help you have a healthy relationship with yourself. You're not going to be so toxic. And it also, one other thing too, it allows the healing to begin. And also consistently keep going, consistently healing what you need to do inside what you need. Because some of those things that we use, those strategies, those coping mechanisms that we have to leave those where those work because they were valid then. So whatever trauma we had, those worked, but they're not working right now. We have to find the better ones that are going to actually work to the solution of the coping. And we have to commit to it. We have to commit to healing ourselves. Like I said, it didn't happen overnight. A trauma may happen overnight, yes, but that healing needs to happen longer. Trauma is going to take harder than the infliction of conflict, the infliction of hurt, the infliction of pain. So committing to that healthy relationship and fostering it, planting that seed, being priority, being number one, not somebody's number two, even to yourself. Your priority to yourself and a one. And then of course just committing. Don't self-sabotage a lot of stuff. Especially what I fear I've seen so much time when you're getting to a position, and let's say it's a job, you want this job, you submitted for it and you wished you got it. We wish so much for stuff that we want, but when we got it, it's like, uh-oh, now what? Now what do I do with it? Can I actually live up to potential and expectations? Here we go again. We start doubting ourselves. We knew we had it when we wanted it, but when we get it and it's offered to us, now we're hesitant to take it. Why? We got these high standards set now. You can fulfill anything you want to fulfill in that and lose that need for validation. It's nice to get compliments, yes, but the toxic part is seeking it. You're seeking it. You're wanting that attention. You're getting fed by other people feeding you their energy. When remember, all seeking it, if we're constantly seeking it, what are we doing? We're giving out again. We're giving out energy, giving it out. We want someone to give it to us. That's not how we work. We're our own batteries. We re-energize ourselves. We have to have that within us to do that, to actually take care of ourselves. Because once again, the only person you really can depend on a lot of times is yourself. You know how to break yourself. You know how to heal yourself. You need to boost that internal self-esteem and some things that we said before, your internal inventory. Another thing that we spoke about, what's that inventory you need to take care of? What you need to delete? What you need to polish? What do you need and what you really want to actually be the person that you see yourself being, not what someone else is trying to constrain you and tie you down to even be doing.
Correct. That's good. That's good. That's a great recap, and that's a great added bonus to what we have talked about all this month. Isn't about relationships, and a lot of things. And one thing we want you to do is take away what fits to you, because not everything we said can be applied
Right.
to one individual. You got to take the pieces that fit you and apply them to you, because a lot of times what happens is we take all of something and we only was supposed to just get one part of it, and then you try to make it fit into a life, your life, that it's not supposed to fit. A lot, you just got to understand, whenever you're looking at something like a podcast or listen to a sermon or what you said, it's not all of it. Is sometimes not all for you. It's supposed to be some kind of piece you get from it that you can sustain you until the next time you hear the next bit of information. It's almost like a map, almost solving a puzzle. So what we want to do is we're gonna close this out. Of course, you follow. We're gonna follow up with you with questions at the end of this. And if you have questions, please report your questions. Ask your questions in the comments, and we will answer them. And the best thing we want to tell you is this about false relationships: continue to become, like what she was saying, become you and stay you, and be your authentic self. Never give that up. If you have given it up, work your way back to getting it all
Yep.
back, piece by piece. And we definitely will see y'all next week. So we're gonna turn it back over to our hostess, our host, our hostess, but back to our host. All right, we'll see y'all next time. God bless. Y'all know how it is. Maybe not. Check, check. All right, I think I'm popping now. All right, check it out. Like I was saying, because I noticed in the beginning y'all didn't hear the prayer, but we did. That was a recap. Me and she recorded it last night, and I wanted her to give y'all insight on what was going on. But what I want to deal with though is I want to deal with the words. Like I said, words do matter, And really what the words I really want to deal with is the words you speak to yourself. And like she was saying about the toxicity of yourself and then the self-sabotaging. I myself am guilty of that myself. Hey, I just seen Andre on chat. Listen, what's up, Andre? Congratulations on winning your culinary. I see my wife here. Hey, baby, I see you there, Richard. That's right. I see you, Rev Rick, and Pastor Graham. Glad you're here. Listen, though, what I want to deal with before this little piece, and then I'm gonna fade on out. The self-sabotaging. I myself am guilty of that. As powerful as I am and as talented as I am, good as I am myself guilty of self-sabotaging because sometimes I can see how God will work through me. And then it'll come another opportunity for God to do it. And I would really doubt myself and understand like, no, I don't think I should because I don't have A, B, C, and D. And sometimes I forget that only reason I'm able to do anything is because of God. So self-sabotaging is not only for those who, like, we see them as weak. It's actually for people that are strong. And in 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of CEOs, from what we experience, they do a lot of self-sabotaging. A lot of leaders, a lot of people with influences, they do a lot of self-sabotaging. When they speak to you with that boldness and they come before you, 9 times out of 10, before they got to that point, they were doubting themselves before they got on the stage. Like I said, I myself was guilty of it. But one thing I'm doing more and more now is I'm depending on God more. I'm saying, hey, whatever you want to do, here it is. I doubted myself, let you do it. And I'm careful about the words that I speak, allow myself to speak to myself. And she was talking about that as well. It's like you have to get to a point to where you do not allow your past life to affect your now life. Because a lot of things that are said in the past about you, you can sometimes allow that to come forth and allow that to dictate where your future is going and your presence. And we definitely do not want you doing that. We want you to be able to function in a way that you know that if God called you to it, then that God's gonna get you through it. And understand that it's not that the fact that your past doesn't matter, when actually your past does. Your past could be something you could use as strength. Like you could take the negative things and use it as motivation and like look at it like, hey, God got me through that. He can get me through anything. I literally take all the negative things that I have self-inflicted on myself and I use them today as motivation. And I'm actually using them today to save people's lives that I come in contact with. So that's one thing. That's two things I want you to catch. But like I said, we do want questions. You want to ask questions, go ahead, ask questions, chat. But please, by all means, words have power, man. Be careful the words you speak to yourself. And then also, be careful with words you speak to people as well. But most importantly, be careful with what you speak to yourself. Because I promise you, if you learn how to speak to yourself well, the speaking to others will come natural. Because it's just going to come natural. I had to see to make sure the sound was on. It's just going to come naturally how you speak to other people if you speak to yourself well. Because it's like the Bible says, love yourself as you love your neighbor. The key piece of that part people miss is the love yourself part. A lot of people don't know how to love themselves. A lot of people really literally allow what their past life was like to dictate how they treat themselves. They really, like she said, they self-sacrifice. They put everybody else before them and then they just treat themselves last. That's not going to sustain you. That's not going to make you into the person you are ordained and called to be. You have to get to a point to where you love yourself enough to speak to yourself very well. I have come to a point in my life, straight up, I speak very highly of myself, not in a cocky way, but in a confident way. I'm confident in the God in me, and I'm confident in what he has put inside of me. Now, do I have moments, like I said, I have my moments where, I start doubting some things, especially something go left personally, and I'm like, oh man, you know what, maybe I wasn't called to it. And I had to shake myself. But nevertheless, I go forward and I understand that a lot of things that I do is actually God empowered. Probably most of them are. Everything I do is God empowered, to be honest with you. I cannot do nothing in and of myself. And I had come to that realization. And that's something you should realize even in your relationships. Even in your relationship. You gotta understand, man, you're gonna need something stronger than you, more powerful than you, for guidance and wisdom to conduct yourself in a relationship, whether it be with your spouse, whether it be business, whether it be personal, whatever, what friendships. You're going to need something stronger than you to conduct yourself in that. And really start speaking to yourself well. Don't speak to yourself like you have spoken to yourself in the past. I have to go back to that. It's something, for some reason, I'm stuck there. You have to start speaking to yourself better than you have been speaking to yourself. One thing that I used to do that changed the game for me, I actually recorded myself speaking positivity to myself on my phone. And what I did, I put me some music behind it so that it could penetrate both sides of my brain, so my subconscious would constantly remember what I was saying. And the thing I've learned that in just studying out psychology, that contextual communication with yourself is better when it's from your own voice. And so what happens is I spoke to me and me believed me, which is how it should be. Because honestly, I'm telling you all, anybody, and I say this all the time, anybody can say whatever they want to about you. They can tear you down and do all that stuff. It is not powerful until you believe it. That's when it becomes powerful. That's when it becomes real. Other than that, it's not there. I don't know why that scripture keep popping up, man. It must be something y'all gotta for the people need to see. But other than that, it's not real. It's not real. Don't believe nothing that's contrary to what God says about you. One of my scriptures I love is like, I cast down. It's a mental thing. It's very mental. I love the mental scriptures, man. I'm just so into the mental now. It said, cast down all vain imagination, everything that exalts itself above the knowledge of God. The knowledge of God. So anything that pops in my mind that's contrary to the knowledge of God, I cast it down. I don't believe it. Because trust me, every day when I wake up, as soon as I wake up, me is me versus me. My mind is already saying what I can't do, what I can't, and I have to get to a point that I cast all of those thoughts down and get into a center and get in a place with God to where I can really regulate all of it. So I can really get my mind right, really get in the mindset that I need to be for that day. This morning I had that happen. But I had to speak well of myself. And I had to get into my quiet place so that I can let God minister to me through the Holy Spirit. So that's what I would say to you all. That's why I would encourage you all. Today's show, as we wrap up relationship month, speak well of yourself. And you'll be able to speak well to others. Everything starts in the mind. It is really about the mindset. Your mind dictates your entire future, your entire being. If you get it right in here, it will manifest outward. It has no choice. You think about back in your past, just think back. When you made up your mind to do something, you did it. If you played sports, you made up your mind to be great, you was great. Andre just won the culinary, him and his team. He made up his mind he was going to be the top chef in the world. He made up his mind and he did it, and he's doing it. Think how powerful you'll be when you make up in your mind that you are not toxic to yourself ever again. That you will make up in your mind, you will speak well of yourself every day, 24/7. Think of how powerful and influential you will be if you make up in your mind to speak well of yourself. We all have a past. We all have been through traumatic things. But we don't have to allow the traumatic things in our past to dictate our present or our future. What we can do is just start speaking well of those things. I share with you all the time. I was molested by women at 6 years old. I speak well of that. I speak because I was molested by women at 6 years old. I'm able to help those who have been molested. I'm able to empower them to keep going. I'm able to speak life into them, to make them understand that it's life after the molestation. It's life after the betrayal. And because of that, I'm able to speak well of myself. I need y'all to understand. I was just sharing with my sister just a while ago before the podcast. I almost was late running. We have to get to a point to we understand that we are literally going through our process because God is allowing us to learn things so that we can save other people.
from having to go through that process that we went through. God is literally empowering us in our process to be gifted enough to speak life and speak well of others so that they too can speak well of themselves. I stress this, and I'm going to close with this. I stress this a lot. Every single thing that I have went through, you have went through, was really not about you. It was about the ministry that you have a calling to and the service that you are to be to the people that you are come in contact with. They're not necessarily as strong in the mind as you. And then God has called you to those to strengthen them. I learned 2 months ago, I'm not called to pull people out of their processes. I'm called to help them get through it. As I help them get through it, they become more stronger and gifted, and they develop more compassion to help someone else. Listen, it's been fun, been nice. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Like I said, next week, me and C will be back, and we'll start. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I really don't. Usually I know. But I know it's going to be something that God is giving us to help impact your life and change the trajectory of your life. So as always, we thank you all for taking out your time you don't get back. So we don't take that for granted. If you watch it live or whether you're watching a replay, we don't take it for granted that you do take out time to watch us. We pray and we believe God that we say something that can help you, empower you to move you forward as you go in your life. So with that said, if like I always say, if all hearts and minds are satisfied, the benediction. God bless all of y'all.
Let's go to the Father. Father, I thank you right now for every single person that watched this podcast tonight. Father, I pray Psalms 91 over their life. I pray that no evil shall befall them. No plague shall come to their dwelling, that 1,000 may fall at their side, 10,000 at their right, but only with their eyes would they witness destruction. I thank you for the angels encamped around about them. And I thank you most importantly that they abide under the shadow of your wing. Father, I thank you that no weapon formed against them will prosper. Every tongue that rises up against them shall fail. And Father, I plead the blood of Jesus over them right now. And Father, we thank you for this time that you have set aside for us to empower the people and to educate the people, Father, and that they will be even better after hearing this podcast, and that their life will be in a true trajectory of their authentic self. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.